Ladies and gentlemen, it is an extraordinary pleasure for me to open today's GNF sessions with a journey between Earth and the Moon. We have all been blown away by Vice Prime Minister Pence's announcement earlier this year to send astronauts back to the Moon by 2024. Public lunar activities are ramping up all over the world, from CLIPS, Viper, and Artemis in the US, to Chang'e 4, India, Russia, Japan, Canada, and Australia. And next month, Europe will decide about its future ambitions in lunar exploration. On the commercial side, we have been observing an even stronger will to push forward to the Moon. This week, we heard about Blue Origin's industry initiative in support of Artemis, about Rocket Lab's plans for lunar missions, and earlier, SpaceX unveiled its Starship. In Japan, we are experiencing the same lunar enthusiasm. Let's mention, for instance, Toyota's rover development in collaboration with JAXA, or the tires that are developed by Bridgestone, as well as the Japanese billionaire Maezawa's booked trip to the Moon with SpaceX. So while public agencies are stepping up with their plans for the Moon, we are also witnessing a transition to smaller private stakeholders with large ambitions. These seem bold, fearless. They are fast and low cost. They are opening up new business opportunities, but not only for themselves, but also for their partners. And those partners do not all have roots in the space industry. So what business opportunities do terrestrial companies that join lunar exploration companies expect for themselves? That is one of the core questions we will answer today. And I have the pleasure to have this discussion today with Takeshi Hakamada, the CEO and founder of Eyespace. He was the lead of Team Hakuto during the Google Lunar X Prize. Previous to Eyespace, Mr. Hakamada was in management consulting, and he earned a Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering. Our second speaker is Dan Hendrickson, VP Business Development at Astrobotic. And before joining Astrobotic, Dan was Director of Space Systems at Aerospace Industries Association. Dan has a Bachelor in Aerospace Engineering and a Master in International Science and Technology Policy. Then we have Trent Martin. Trent Martin is Vice President for Aerospace Services at Intuitive Machines. Formerly, he was with NASA Johnson Space Center and with Lockheed Martin. He holds a Bachelor in Aerospace Engineering and a Master in Business Administration. We have Takeshi Morita, who's Director of the Business Creation Strategy Department at Japan Airlines. And in this function, he's seeking new business opportunities for Japan Airlines, and he is also managing the company's venture capital-related business. Morita-san has been with Japan Airlines for 19 years, and he is a lawyer by education. And last but not least, we have Craig Tibbetts. He is responsible for the NGK NTK Venture Lab, which serves as the bridge between NGK and startup companies. Craig has previously worked in the automotive division as director of NGK's Michigan Technical Center, and he holds a Bachelor in Mechanical Engineering, as well as a Master from the Tokyo Institute of Technology. Thank you very much to our distinguished panelists for joining us today. But before getting into the very topic that we are going to discuss today, I would kindly ask our panelists to introduce their companies to us. Hakamada-san, may I ask you to open the floor and tell us a bit more about Eyespace, followed then by Astrobotic, Intuitive Machines, Japan Airlines, and NGK Spark Plugs. Thank you very much.
My name is Takeshi Hakamada, CEO and founder of Eyespace. Let me introduce about Eyespace quickly. Well, we are developing lunar lander and a rover to create affordable transportation system to the lunar surface. Our concept for our system is small, low cost, and high frequency. We're gonna provide delivery service to the lunar surface several times per year basis in the future. We can carry about currently 30 kilograms payload to the lunar surface on the lander, and then also we can carry several kilograms payload on our rover. And then we are also contributing for the NASA program called Commercial Lunar Payload Service. We are contributing our technology through Draper Laboratory. They are a prime contractor for this program. And then also we are working with General Atomics and the space flight industry. We are very honored to have this opportunity for service for the NASA. And then let me show you one short videos explaining our visions. Our vision is expand our planet, expand the future, which means we want to create a world where humans can live in space.
The universe's newest city is home to 1,000 people. And every year, over 10,000 come to visit. Only 20 years ago, this city didn't exist. It's the result of pioneers sending rovers, then discovering water. The hydrogen and oxygen separated from water becomes energy, creating the foundation for a fuel station. And with the fuel station came scheduled flights, followed by settlers. Soon, settlers required more diverse skills, attracting new specialists for construction, steel, communications, energy, transit, agriculture, medicine, and more. People travel from far and wide to see this new city. We call it Moon Valley. The moon is the new staging ground for your next level business. Expand our planet. Expand our future. Eyespace.
Well, this is a very ambitious vision. However, we believe this is feasible. In order to approach this, our vision, we have a three-step approach. The first is to establish transportation service to the lunar surface. This is current stage. And then we're gonna obtain a lot of data on the lunar surface, especially water resource. And then in the next phase, after we identify the water location and then analyze the economic value, we're gonna expose the water resources and then produce fuel for the spacecraft in the future. And then we believe we can approach to our vision Moon Valley 2040. And then we believe that key for this success is to get involved many of the non-space companies in this new industry. We cannot do it by ourselves, single company as an Eyespace. And also, we cannot do it only with the existing space companies. We need to have more companies from outside space companies, outside space industries, especially terrestrial industries, because if we envision to humans living in space or on the moon, everything related to human life have to be in space or on the moon. So not only just the mining or transportation, but also we need telecommunications, health, or food, or consumables. We need to invite many of the such players in this industry. And then that is our, how can I say, role for the future. And then as a beginning, we are having the program called Hack to All, which is the partnership program. This is the platform for the non-space companies to get involved in the space field with a small start. And then we are planning 2 missions with this Hack to All program. The first mission is lunar landing to launch 2021. And the second mission is 2023. We're gonna land on the moon and then bring our rover and then implement surface exploration. And then using these 2 missions, we are working with many of the non-space companies listed here. Japanese Airlines, we have Japanese Airlines today, and then NGK as well, and then also Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance Company, and then Citizen, it's watch company, and then Suzuki Motors, Sumitomo Corporation. They are not involved heavily in the space industry in the past. However, using this program, they are looking for the new opportunity, new innovation, and then we are providing such an opportunity for them. That's it. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Lost the slide. While we get the slides up here, my name is Dan Hendrickson. I'm from Astrobotic. I want to thank Lynn for organizing the panel today. It's really great to be up here with a distinguished group of panelists here representing the new lunar ecosystem. As mentioned, I'm from Astrobotic. We're a lunar logistics company based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been in business for 12 years now. We like to say that we've been pursuing the moon before it became cool again. And so we have been working very hard over those last 12 years to really establish the lunar delivery market. We think that's been particularly key to really enable the lunar ecosystem that we think is on the horizon, but we want to first start with transportation. So as we look across the lunar landscape, there's a whole variety of different kinds of use cases for lunar applications and lunar activities. If you look certainly at the very baseline, lunar exploration science has been somewhat stagnant over the last 50 years. Of course, it's been the U.S. has been there with the Apollo program. That was the last time that there was a soft landed mission. And so there's science and exploration to be done immediately. There's been a great pent-up demand. And then as you look further, a little bit more into the future, we believe that there's a strong case to be made for looking at living off the land, utilizing the water, ice resources, perhaps even ISRU, really demonstrate the opportunity to be a multi-planet species. But we're starting first with the low-cost lunar transportation. And it's those applications that I just mentioned, those activities that we see on the horizon here on this slide, that really we believe will bloom once that low-cost lunar transportation is available. But we as a company don't presume to pick any one single outcome as the definite future that will take hold, but rather we want to have our low-cost lunar transportation allow companies and organizations around the world to try new things, to go to the moon and see what is the potential for utilizing water ice or to do mining or to explore the rare earth metals. So there's a variety of different activities and use cases that we see from our customer base because we really try to be very market focused and with the actual demand that we're seeing right now. So we've created platforms, both landers and rovers, as part of our end-to-end lunar delivery services. So on the left, you see the lander vehicles that we have developed. The first that will be flying is our Peregrine lunar lander. This is a vehicle that will carry up to 200 kilograms of payload to the lunar surface. We do that for 1.2 million per kilogram. So we try to make it very simple and straightforward for our customers around the world to purchase capacity and provide a platform for them to carry out the activities that they have been planning to do for, in some cases, a decade or more. So Peregrine will fly first in the summer of 2021. We're very excited to have been selected by the NASA CLPS program for the first task order of payloads. I should note NASA is just one of 16 customers total for this first mission. So speaking in terms of the lunar landscape and the ecosystem of non-typical traditional space customers, we're very proud to have a manifest that's quite diverse. Following up from Peregrine will be our Griffin lunar lander, which has about double the capacity at 400 kilograms. This is for obviously larger applications, and so we still provide, though, that same service at 1.2 million per kilogram, regardless of which lander you end up on and which one you need. So again, we really want to make this a simple and straightforward service for our customers around the world to utilize. And then on the right, we have our rover platforms. These are vehicles that can be utilized just like landers in the sense that it's an end-to-end service. So you buy a kilo of capacity on a rover, and the entire mission in terms of the end-to-end logistics of integration and launch and landing on the moon is included with that, but you get mobility services. So you see on the right, we have our Cube rover, which is our much smaller platform. This is really to address the demand that we have seen from organizations around the world that need to have mobility on the surface, but they don't necessarily want to build their own rover. And then we have our Polaris rover, which is much larger, and that, again, meets more of the Griffin-class capacity needs for that future use case, perhaps larger activities like potential ISRU production in the future once we prove that out with prospecting. So as mentioned, Peregrine will fly first. This is our vehicle here on the right. Everything you see in this photograph is real except for the Earth in the corner. We have a nice steel slag site in Pittsburgh where we're based, which allows us to have a nice lunar landscape. So our 1-to-1 scale model is here pictured. You can actually see that model in the exhibit hall at the Dynetics booth. Dynetics is integrating our propulsion system. So come by and take a look and see the 1-to-1 scale vehicle if you get a chance. This vehicle is really, again, meant to be one lander for any mission type. It's really to enable a diverse collection of payload delivery, so a variety of different kinds of visions can fly on this mission. As mentioned earlier, we have 16 signed contracts for that first mission, so we like to think that this platform has proven that it's met the demand of the market with those existing sales that we have in place right now. We put a heavy emphasis on high reliability and low complexity, and I think that's what's really attracted maybe some of the newer players to our market, in particular DHL. DHL is a world's largest shipping and logistics company in the world. They've seen an opportunity to get into space logistics, so they're assisting us with our ground transportation, our payload transportation, as well as the lander transportation to test sites and to the launch site. And so their support has been really instrumental in applying lessons learned to a space program, allowing us to learn from them. And then they also learn about the opportunities that exist for space logistics coming up in the future. So we're very excited to have them involved, and obviously they're a very high-profile, non-traditional space organization that is typically not played in this space. So Peregrine, just to note here, again, is really meant to be adaptable to many different kinds of visions and mission types. So you see here the product line philosophy that we have for our landers, and this is similar for our Griffin lander as well as our rovers. There's configurations outside of the core spacecraft bus that allow for a variety of different kinds of visions to make it to the moon and to operate successfully. So it's possible to have large single rovers or a collection of smaller payloads on a mission, and then also configurations that allow us to go to any latitude on the surface of the moon. Whether it's a polar destination, mid-latitude, and perhaps even the far side if there's a communication relay available. So we created this platform really to meet all the different kinds of demands and needs that we're seeing in the market today, because we believe that's the best way to really get this ecosystem going, is to really invite new players to the stage and to have an easy access point. And that's a short overview on Astrobotic. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Can you hear me? My name is Trent Martin. I'm the Vice President of Aerospace Services for Intuitive Machines. And in case you haven't noticed, there's a space race on. In fact, it's sitting right here on this stage. because there are 3 companies sitting on this stage that plan on launching missions in 2021, all very, very close to one another. And to think about the fact that 3 commercial companies are in a space race to the moon is pretty impressive to me. It's interesting times that we live in. I think that there are other space races, by the way, going on between countries, but the fact that we have 3 companies, commercial companies, in fact small commercial companies that are out there doing this is impressive. In 2013, Steve Altimus, Dr. Cam Ghaffarian, and Dr. Tim Crane created a company called Intuitive Machines. We currently have over 100 employees. We operate in the space, aviation, and oil and gas industries. Our key programs include the Lunar Payload and Data Services, which builds our Nova-C lander, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute, and our Tiburon Junior fixed-wing drone system. 85% of our employees have advanced degrees and are experts in various things, including flight hardware, precision landing and hazard avoidance, guidance, navigation, and control systems, LOX methane, rocket engine technology, carbon fiber structures, and tanks, and embedded avionics and software development. We have 2 facilities in Houston, one where we house all the engineers doing the day-to-day engineering design, and one where we're actually building our hardware, both our landers and our Tiburon Junior systems. We also have employees in Colorado and Utah. Our IM-1 mission, which launches in July of 2021, launches on what we call our Nova-C vehicle. Nova-C, the 100 stands for 100 kilograms of payload to the lunar surface. It's based on technologies that were developed by NASA on the NASA Morpheus project. Morpheus was a technology demonstration to prove that we could build a LOX methane lander, and on it we flew the all-hat system, which was a precision landing hazard avoidance technology demonstration system. It turns out that around 20% of our employees were some of the key engineers on that mission, and we flew that Morpheus vehicle 54 times. Well, actually we flew 2 Morpheus vehicles 54 times because the first one crashed, and 9 months later we had a second one flying. So we consider the Nova-C a 3rd generation spacecraft, and our engines are the 4th generation LOX methane engine technologies. We announced last month that we're launching on a SpaceX Falcon 9 in July of 2021. And our technologies are a little bit different than some of our colleagues up here in that we are using LOX methane as our propulsion system, which allows us to do a really quick trip to the moon. 6 days after we launch, we're landing on the moon. Our first mission is a lunar day on the moon, and we have the capability to land anywhere on the surface of the moon. And so our vision, the discussion topic today was around the vision for future lunar ecosystems. And I appreciate the videos and the discussion from my colleagues on the stage here, because I agree that in 2040, maybe there is an ecosystem that's on the moon. Right now, there's an ecosystem for the technologies that we're developing here on the Earth, and for the infrastructure that is being created here on the Earth in order to develop these technologies. For instance, we are the first tenant of the Houston Spaceport, and we rent a building from Houston Spaceport. That's where we're building our systems. We test at Ellington Airport our infrastructure, and we're utilizing the spaceport. And spaceports have been popping up all over the United States and all over the world. Utilizing those facilities is an important aspect of creating this ecosystem. Data is the key at the moon. The higher the bandwidth, the better. The more data we can get back, the better. We see in the future with humans at the moon, you can't send back grainy black and white images like we sent back in 1969. We have to send back high-rate video, 4K images of astronauts walking around on the moon in order to make this economy thrive. And we need to do that in robotic landers before those missions occur. We believe that LOX methane is also one of the key technologies. It's extremely reliable, it's easy to operate, It makes great use of in situ resource utilization technologies that have been talked about up here on the stage as far as gathering water, gathering hydrogen, and at the Mars surface, gathering methane. And in fact, we believe that with a human system in place, using ECLIS or waste from humans would be a great way to gather methane products that you would need for propulsion systems that we're building, like our LOX methane engines. Currently, we collaborate in a couple different ways. The San Jacinto College, which is a college system in Houston, created a program they call EDGE. It's in the same building as us at the spaceport, and they essentially operate to train the next generation of technicians to do aerospace jobs. The advantage that we have by working in the same building is that they train the technicians using equipment that we also utilize, and we get the pick of the technicians to come to work for us building moon landers and aircraft. We currently are collaborating with KSAT on our commercial comm system so that we're not utilizing NASA systems for everything that we're building, and I'm sure that that's true of our colleagues here as well, is that we are trying to commercialize this effort. So we need commercial activities not only for the landers, but also for the communication as it comes back to the Earth, and we're currently using KSAT to do that. Our terrestrial systems, using terrestrial systems wherever possible to reduce the cost of spaceflight. We are small companies, and in fact, on the CLIPS Task Order 2, which we won along with Astrobotics, we were the low bidder. So being the low bidder means you have to find ways to save costs everywhere you can. And doing things in traditional aerospace, big aerospace kinds of ways, doesn't work when you're trying to do a mission on a really low budget. So utilizing those terrestrial systems, using mil-spec components wherever possible, using systems that we test to reach the space environments, but maybe they wouldn't work for a human mission, but they will work for a robotic mission, is something that we do regularly. And then repurposing sensing systems. The Navigation Doppler LiDAR, or NDL, that we're flying and that Astrobotics is flying to the moon for NASA, we currently have tested it to do geophysical surveying and mineral mapping and gravimetry in a couple different places, both in Canada and Australia, flying it on aircraft. So utilizing technologies that we've developed for the space industry to help improve society on the Earth is something that we believe is a great place for collaboration. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Takeshi Morita from Japan Airlines. And we are a commercial airline company founded in 1951, and we have 56 routes for the international flight, and with more than 34,000 employees, including subsidiary company. Normally, airline company is think about we have to change our in-flight meal or service in the cabin, but on the other hand, we also accelerate the invest in startups. For instance, as for the space, as you know that we already invest in Eyespace, and also we invest in supersonic aircraft development company in US. And we also found the corporate venture capital fund with $70 million to invest in new startups as well. As for the space, we are challenged to search for new destination and working with Eyespace, especially in field of maintenance and transport or so on. And as for the supersonic flight, it's located in Denver, US. We try to find out the next generation aircraft. It means the travel time for instance, travel time from Tokyo to San Francisco, currently it takes 10 hours, but we want to make it within 5 hours and 24 minutes. And we also have the corporate venture capital fund to invest in new startups to get the technology and business model from the startup company, and we provide funds and business assets to them. That's it. Thank you.
Good morning. So my name is Craig Tibbetts with NGK spark plugs. I'll spend just a minute on this slide, actually. So the name of the company is NGK Spark Plugs. And unlike my colleagues up here, we don't make anything that flies, and we don't fly anything. But some of you might know NGK if you like to work on your own car, or if you're into motorcycles or ATVs, for spark plugs and some of our other automotive products. NGK is the name of the company, and as you can see on this slide, it is one of our brands that's used for spark plugs. We have another brand, NTK, and that is for basically everything that's not spark plug or ignition related. So we have a lot of different technical ceramics under the NTK brand. So NGK is a company that's headquartered in Nagoya, Japan. We've been around for over 80 years now, established in 1936. Established with one product at that time, which was spark plugs, thus the name. Sales are about $4 billion, and we have locations around the world with about 14,000 employees in total. At the core of the company really is a competence in materials and ceramic materials in particular. So if you think of the start of our company, it was spark plugs, and the key component there is really the alumina ceramic insulator, the white insulator that you'd see on a spark plug. And then we've used that material, or those material properties around ceramics, for other applications. A little bit broader overview of our business. So we have the automotive portion there, which I'll talk about a little bit more on the next slide. But in addition to automotive, we have products that are in the semiconductor industry, so ceramic packages for microprocessors. You might remember the Intel Pentium processor. That needed to go into a ceramic package, which was supplied by NTK. Also, ceramic cutting tools or other devices used in silicon wafer processing. And then we have a small medical division. Pictured there is an oxygen concentrator and also some ceramic implants for bone and joint. On the automotive side, I put together one slide here just to show that we are a tier 1 supplier to pretty much every automotive manufacturer. But I will say that our automotive products right now are all focused on the internal combustion engine, so gasoline or diesel engines. That's why you don't see Tesla up here, for example, as one of our customers, at least not yet. But we have a large share in spark plugs, oxygen sensors, temperature sensors, these types of things that really center around the combustion engine. And that's still very good business today. And there's a lot of debate as to when the gasoline engine and this business will eventually decline. We think we still have a fair amount of time, but eventually there's going to be new powertrains that supplant the gasoline engine, and spark plugs are going to decline as a business. So that's a big part of the reason that we're up here is looking for other opportunities. So in addition to spark plugs, some of the things that we're working on are fuel cells, other active materials like piezoelectric materials, a solid state battery that we'll talk about more today, and then some additional products in the medical space. So we have these focus areas: next generation automotive, energy and environment, medical and healthcare. Space isn't up here yet officially, but maybe that will change in the coming years. And then finally, I am with NGK. I represent a division within our company called the Venture Lab, which was just established about 1.5 years ago with the mission of establishing new business opportunities through partnership and through collaboration, largely working with startups. So we have 3 locations, one in Silicon Valley, one in Tokyo, and another in Paris. And I'm from the California location in Santa Clara, just south of San Francisco. So there we have an exhibit of our technologies, and the goal there is to ignite some ideas for collaboration with visitors, and then we have some room for events and a co-working space. So if you're in the South Bay of California, we'd be happy to have you visit. And that's all for me.
Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, as you see, the race here is twofold. On the one hand, it is really a new space race to the moon, but on the other hand, it is also a race to identify pioneers in the terrestrial industries that want to join our adventures. Now, turning to Hakamada-san and Dan, could you tell us a little more about your terrestrial partners and investors, and elaborate a bit at what stage of your company's development you considered them as a potential future partner?
Well, so we have partners for the Hack to R program, and then we have today JAL and then NGK. But also we have a variety of the non-space companies investors to our company as well. We have construction companies, telecommunication companies, and then broadcasting companies, electronics companies, automotive companies. They are our shareholders as well. The reason why they decided to invest us is, of course, we inspire them with our ambitious vision to create ecosystem, big industry in space in future, and then also this ecosystem is a place they also could do business in future, and then also this is the place for the innovation as well. So they want to do something new using Eyespace opportunity. For example, one of the construction company who invested to us has been done very basic research on the lunar surface development, and then for 30 years or so, and then at the same time they decided to invest to us. That group become changed to more business-oriented group. So this kind of shift is happening in the non-space companies as well.
I think for Astrobotic, our path has been a little bit different than some commercial space firms in the sense that we have put a heavy emphasis on trying to really get the market established with actual sales and contracts, and we've been a little less focused on the investment side. So I think that's been really helpful for an organization like DHL. When they saw that we had actual sales and customers that were signed up for the mission, they had a lot more confidence then that this was a real market, that there's really something for them to explore deeper when it came to logistics, and to really see what the real potential was, and hence why they wanted to get involved. I don't remember the exact number of contracts that we had signed when we proceeded with DHL, but we had a number of them already in place and announced. So for them, that was something that spoke to them. They really understood that. So we've put a heavy emphasis on payload sales and sponsorship, as opposed to the investment side. And I think that's been helpful for some of the non-traditional space companies to understand how it works, because they see a real business there. They see a business case actually closing. So that's been, I think, one of the turning points for us.
Thank you. Trent, how has Intuitive Machines been experiencing this non-space industry's traction towards lunar exploration?
So Intuitive Machines was founded on the idea of taking aerospace technologies out to other industries. So we spent several years from 2013 until 2018 really focusing, taking aerospace technologies out to other industries to see how those technologies would help in medicine, oil and gas. But we found, and we had some really good success with that. We also found that it's really hard to take the space out of space people. So once you had all these space people, they really wanted to do space missions. And in fact, I was brought in specifically to focus on some of the space aspects, and that's when we started getting into things like CLIPS. My colleagues are right, and in fact, they've been probably more successful than we have at going out into other industries and bringing them into the space fold. We don't see as big of a market yet over the last year and a half as they have had, but they've had a lot more time, having worked the Google Lunar X Prize for so many years and trying to find those opportunities. But they're there, and they're starting to emerge. And the more success we have as individual companies, the more that will bring those kind of companies into the fold. And I agree, we will end up with a very thriving market. And it's really based on our success. If we're all successful, that market will grow.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Now, shedding some light on our terrestrial businesses here today, Morita-san, your company is one of Eyespace's most loyal investors and partners. What motivated you to join a lunar exploration company and its adventure to the moon? And what business opportunities do you see for your company by entering the lunar economy over the next couple of years and also in the long term?
Yes, our first motivation was that there is a need to search a new destination which was not common in our everyday life. And for us to create this new value, it was necessary to take a completely new approach and process. And we thought that Eyespace would be one of the key factors in this. So that is why we raised our hands first to work and support the success of Akamada-san's dream. And for the business opportunity, in the short term, we see an opportunity by supporting the business development of Eyespace by utilizing technology assets of Japan Airlines, such as from the field of maintenance and transport. And in the long term, when the economic zone is established on the moon, we would like to somehow involved in space travel as a company who have creating and supporting the countless number of journeys around the world by connecting the starting point and the destination.
And why did you choose to join the Hacker to R program in addition to just being an investor?
Yes, we thought that the sponsorship will play a big role in increasing our brand recognition. Our brand recognition will be increased through the exposure and communication of the information of the innovative and cutting-edge themes that space has.
And in the context of that partnership, what exactly do you bring to Eyespace, or what does JAL bring to the space industry in general as a non-space company?
Yes, I think the mutual branding and providing our know-hows around the technologies. So mutual blending, by the mutual blending, we wanted to start and create the momentum of the space development from the private company in Japan and all around the world. In addition to this, we wanted to support the project, the space development of Eyespace by utilizing our assets, especially for the maintenance, and the transport. And the other question is?
Yes.
Is
So
that
what Japan Airlines brings to the space industry as a non-space company, but it's related?
I think and I believe that using and providing our expertise we have cultivated through our history and experience as a commercial airline company. So doing business in the skies, which has an affinity with space in a way. I hope so.
Thank you. Craig, a similar question to you. Could you explain a bit to our audience what your collaboration with Eyespace consists of and why you chose to enter this partnership?
So NGK has contracted with Eyespace to carry two solid-state batteries that we're developing as payload. So those will be carried on the first mission and on the lander. So eventually they will be on the surface of the moon. So there's a technical motivation for us there to accelerate our development of this product. But there's also very clearly a marketing motivation, not only to make it clearer to other companies and people around the world that NGK is actually more than a spark plug company and that we're looking for new opportunities. There's also a very strong internal component for us in motivating our own employees and in recruiting. Today it's not so easy to recruit new engineers if they think that they're going to come in and just design spark plugs. So sort of sharing the dream that these companies up here with me today have among our employees and future employees is one key component for us.
Okay, so that is one benefit, I guess, you will have then from this proof of concept payload. Are there any others? And how do you think the lunar exploration industry will benefit from this proof of concept payload? Maybe a question to both you and Hakamada-san.
So for NGK, we have, as I mentioned in the intro slides, some key competence around ceramic materials, we believe. And we've put some of that to use in this development of all solid-state battery. But one thing that this project does is it really gives us focus for our research groups to have a very specific goal and specific timeline and people depending upon us to get this done. So it's really a motivating and a focusing factor that we believe can accelerate our development. And hopefully, I think, no one knows for sure, of course, but hopefully some success on that development can lead to a product or even a product line in the future that obviously has benefit for us as a company. But we know that batteries or power sources in general are one of the challenge areas for space, especially surviving the extremes of temperature, vacuum. So we believe that we have some core technology that might be able to address some of those needs for the industry as well.
Well, especially solid state battery is important for the future of the lunar development. As he said, lunar environment is very severe in temperature-wise, especially at the night of on the moon. The temperature drop below the minus 100 Celsius degrees, and then conventional liquid battery cannot survive such an environment. So in order to extend operation on the lunar surface, we need such a solid-state battery technology. And then also considering the water resource utilization, the water will exist on the polar area, which also a very severe environment temperature as well. In order to operate in such an area and then utilize water resources, we need the battery can survive under the minus 100 Celsius degree or more.
And maybe one more question to Craig. Craig, I've learned that you are also active in Formula One projects with high safety requirements. Are there any lessons learned from these collaborations that you can bring in for your proof of concept payload in 2021?
I think, yeah, Formula One is maybe kind of an easy to understand example. So, yeah, NGK has been involved in Formula One, actually supplying a variety of teams and engine manufacturers since 1968, I believe. And we've had, combined with those teams, over 300 race wins. And there are some similarities there. So Formula One, we have to meet very specific requirements in terms of performance, right? So the highest performance is demanded. But in addition to that, reliability is paramount as well. So we're pushing the limits of performance, but we need to maintain reliability to get through a race. And I see a lot of similarities with the requirements for these lunar programs. As far as what lessons we can take from Formula One to space, I'm not sure of the best one. One thing that comes to mind is a lot of what we've learned in mass volume, high volume manufacturing. So NGK is producing almost 1 billion with a B spark plugs per year today. And that high volume manufacturing does lead to discipline that is applicable to low volume products that need to be highly reliable as well, because it has taught us to control our processes extremely tightly. And I think that some of that knowledge is something that we can bring to bear on this type of program. And of course, not just NGK, but companies like us who have been in the commercial side and the high volume manufacturing. I believe we have a role to play in terms of reducing costs and bringing some of that know-how. We also have a lot to learn. There are many things that we are not aware of, not experienced in terms of the environment and the requirements. So this kind of collaboration is really a great learning opportunity for us, and we believe we have something to contribute back as well.
Okay, thank you. So we've learned that the airline and also the automotive stakeholders have a broader interest in the moon as a business destination. So my question to our 3 exploration experts would be, which are the industries that you are currently still missing to build the Moon Valley or this lunar ecosystem? And which ones would you like to see join next?
Even though we have start having the many partners from the non-space industries, we are still missing more. The one of the example would be the plant or mining industry. we don't have yet explicit partnership or the collaboration with terrestrial mining industry yet. So I want to have more conversation with terrestrial mining industries and how we can work together for the lunar resource utilization in future.
Yeah, I would echo those thoughts. I think there's a lot to be learned from terrestrial mining organizations around the world that we're very enthusiastic about ISRU and about mining opportunities, but there's also a lot of sobering realities for mining here on Earth. There's a lot to be learned from that industry, the hard-fought lessons learned, and I think as actual prospecting activities take place, we would be smart in our industry to pay close attention to how they do prospecting on Earth, because it is not a simple, straightforward activity, and it requires a lot of commitment and capital expense. So I think I echo that is also a sector that I think we should be engaging with as much as possible. And then also I would maybe highlight that there's, I think, an enormous power opportunity on the surface. Electrical power is going to be in great demand, I think, for these larger, more exciting, robust activities that will happen on the surface once you have regular low-cost lunar transportation. So having electrical power, and there's a variety of different ways of doing that, but having large sources of power on the surface is going to be necessary for the next stage of the surface ecosystem as we all hope it will develop.
Yeah, so it's never good to go last because they take all of your great ideas. I agree with those sentiments. I will say that in order to reach a Moon Valley type approach in 2040, the cost of spaceflight has to come down. And over the last 15 years, with launch costs dropping so much, with entrants like SpaceX into the mix, has really driven the launch costs down, significantly lower than what it would have been. These same missions that we're flying in 2021 would have cost 3-4 times as much just 10 years ago, mostly driven by the launch costs. So I think it's new companies like our companies that are coming in that are changing the landscape, changing the way the traditional aerospace companies have done business, to say, you don't have to do it that way. It doesn't have to be that way just because that's the way we've always done it. And so in that way, what I'm interested in is companies, your example of building 1 billion spark plugs and being able to take that knowledge and bring it in to have reliable systems that are one-offs is important, because the aerospace industry right now spends a huge amount of time and effort making sure that that one thing that they're building is the most reliable thing ever, because you can't go and fix it. It's in space. And what I've seen over the years is that we've created this, in the traditional aerospace companies, what we've created are these large bureaucracies that exist to feed themselves. But they don't exist to innovate. They don't exist to make things cheaper, to create that ecosystem that eventually would lead to a Moon Valley. And we have to change that. And it's small companies like this that you see up on the stage that are pushing that. It's the new space companies that are pushing that ecosystem to a lower cost, faster turnaround. It's okay to fail as long as you're failing forward kind of approach.
So there's still work ahead of us. To wrap up, because I see that we're running out of time, I would ask all of you to share your expectations with regard to that future Earth-Moon ecosystem. And given that we don't have much time, I can only give you 3 words.
Well, our vision is Moon Valley 2040, so I'm happy to work with any kind of industry players from now on.
If I'm limited to 3 words, which I think I just violated by saying that, I'd say promising nascent potential that will be opened by low-cost lunar transportation.
Thank you.
In order to make it work, we need better communication systems, we need lower cost systems, and we need an economy that is not driven by just aerospace. It has to be everyone else in the market.
Thank you.
So 3 words: innovative and cutting edge, and we always need to challenge.
Collaboration, like we have up here today. Opportunity and inspiration.
Thank you very much for making great contributions to these discussions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at IAC next year. Thank you very much.